It's a really nice day out. Not sure if you guys can tell. It looks like there's a lot of cloud coverage, or hopefully you can see the haze, but I'm not quite sure what that's from. It could be a forest fire somewhere, but it's definitely not an actual cloud. But it's making some nice weather for me to ride when it's been so hot lately. But I kind of wanted to talk about the importance of hobbies. So I picked up motorcycling as a hobby. I've been riding for years now, but it's one of those things, you know, I picked it up as a hobby originally, and then it became one of my main means of transportation for quite a while. And I would ride through everything, and at some point, you know, it just became another vehicle. So I lost some of the benefits, I would say, as a hobby. But I took a break after having children. I didn't have a motorcycle for a long time, and my career at the time, I was on call a lot, so I couldn't be riding my motorcycle because this was before all the fancy Bluetooth technologies in your helmet, so I couldn't answer a call, and I had to have equipment for my response. But now, you know, things have kind of settled down. I've gotten back into the wake up, rinse and repeat kind of lifestyle of getting up as an adult. You go to work, you come home, you eat, you go to bed, and you do the same. And then the weekend comes and I'm just exhausted. But that's just part of being an adult, and unfortunately it's part of being a parent. There's so many benefits of being a parent, but you know, one thing I never learned or was thinking about is how exhausting it would be. But it is exhausting, but it's well worth it. But I got back into motorcycling. I was fortunate enough to pick up this steed here, this lovely little lady. For a 20-year-old bike, she's doing actually great. It's nice to be in a cruiser position of just kind of relaxing with no cares in the world, just kind of putting around, seeing the world. But hobbies are important. They're important for your mental health, your state of well-being, just all around. So the reason why it can help you is it can reduce stress. If you get stuck in the same routine and you're just focusing on work and you kind of build your life around work, it's difficult. Having a career is great and it's nice to have passion about what you do, but what about in the end? When you retire, who are you? Do you feel like you lost yourself? There's a lot of things like this that you have to think about. But having hobbies give you another thing to educate yourself on and to have growth. You get into a hobby, let's say it's motorcycling, for example. You get to, maybe there's a brand you like Harley Davidson. You get to learn about the bikes. What are the models? What's the history? You know, is there any tips to ride better? And there's a lot of different things like this, so you're constantly learning. And then you actually broaden your social circles. You meet other people that ride. You go to online and you talk to people. They share interest. You feel part connected. You're part of the community. And this is what's great about hobbies. It gives you the outlet, one, to reduce stress because you're focused on something that's most likely has nothing to do with your stress. If your hobby is only constantly producing stress, you probably should find a new hobby. But anyway, you know, you're focusing on this, you're part of a new community, you're meeting new people, you're learning new stuff, and you're growing. And the growth is what typically helps us feel, you know, accomplished. We feel like we've done something good. It makes us feel better about ourselves. But having the hobbies can really do a lot for you in that sense. And it doesn't have to be motorcycling, and hobbies don't have to be expensive. You can get a hobby of journaling. And what's the cost? A sheet of paper and pen? Most likely you can pick those up, or you have them already around the house, or you type on your computer on that stuff. What else could it be? Motovlogging. As you see, you're a cyclist. I love everything on two wheels. Is it getting out there? And any kind of hobby that's actually sports related, like cycling, running, have even more benefits because it's that health side of it. Exercise really helps fight depression. But getting out there with hobbies. So how do you start with hobbies? Let's say you want to get a motorcycle. Maybe you're watching this because you're like, oh, I totally want to get into motorcycling. I should look up motorcycling as a hobby. Is it expensive? Yes and no. You can make it very expensive. You can go out and buy a brand new top-of-the-line motorcycle and buy all the gear, and that is outrageously expensive. I mean, you're looking at the price of a new car on that kind of stuff. And the gear is not cheap. Any kind of specialty gear is always more expensive. But it doesn't have to be, and I wouldn't recommend, if you are new to motorcycling, going out and buying a new motorcycle in general. Start off with something that's a little bit smaller bike, lower cc, and learn, because there's going to be mistakes. You're going to drop the bike and you're going to feel bad if you dropped a brand new bike. But you can start off small. Maybe you want a street bike, maybe you don't. Maybe you want one that just is like a dirt bike that you can go out on adventure trails and things like that. I mean, the first thing I would look at is, of course, the most expensive thing is the motorcycle, but look for a motorcycle, look for a used one. Or do you have a buddy, does your friend have one that you can borrow or learn from? I really recommend taking a motorcycle safety course. I think I was riding for around 10, 12 years, and then I had the opportunity to take a motorcycle safety course, and honestly I thought it was great. I realized about how many bad habits I picked up from riding and learning on my own, and then I learned more tips and kind of how to be better on that. And I was actually thinking about it, because it's been years since I've taken one. I might take another one just to kind of refresh it. But pick up your motorcycle, pick one up, learn how to ride. There's tons of YouTube videos now about starting riding and starting on motorcycles. The biggest cost is the motorcycle and the gear. Always have a helmet. I can't even stress enough about protecting your brain. Your face is already ugly, so even if you get like a little half helmet, it doesn't matter, because it's going to destroy your face anyway, but it's your brain that keeps you going. Get that. I'm always a fan of wearing protective gear, even in the summer. I do find that, here we have high altitude, and in the summer it can get burning hot on the motorcycle. But some of that is the fact that your skin's exposed, so the sun is just beating down on you. And I do find that wearing a summer jacket, I don't know if you can see in this video, but I have a mesh jacket on. The actual wind comes through it, and I actually feel cooler than riding without a jacket, and it's just something about the sun not being on you. But motorcycle clothing is expensive. I don't think you necessarily have to buy the $500 pair of jeans that are Kevlar lined, but you do need to have longer clothes on in case you fall or the pipes of the motorcycle burn you. But you're looking at the cost of a motorcycle and the equipment, and getting licensed if that's something that you want. And the long scheme, it's a big investment if you're not sure if you would like it. So one way to figure out if you like motorcycle or not is, if you have a friend that has one, try it out. The other would be taking that motorcycle safety course, because they provide motorcycles in most of the major cities, and then you can ride around that weekend, see if you like it, learn the skills, and then you can actually, and a lot of times that helps you get motorcycles for rent. So you can go out and rent motorcycles now that you got your motorcycle license and you took a safety course, which is a great feature of that kind of stuff. But go out and do it. I'm a huge fan of cycling too, so that's even a less expensive investment sometimes. But I have a bicycle that costs more than a used motorcycle, and the equipment and gear for that is probably actually comparable to it. The price of a bicycle helmet is the same, if not more at times, than the price of a starter motorcycle helmet, which is kind of bizarre, but it goes back to those hobbies. So I mean, look at that. But again, hobbies can be cheap. It doesn't have to be like that. The one cool thing that we have now is smartphones. Almost everyone has smartphones. And it's funny, I saw something about a Razr. The Razr's coming back, and that's like a new smart flip phone. I was like, wow, we're going back in technology doing flip phones now. But I remember the Razr actually came out. I thought that was the coolest phone ever, and I wanted one so bad. And then there was a Crazer, and that was the coolest phone. But with our phones, we have the ability now to have almost a professional camera. So you have that ability now if you wanted to do photography. Go out, take some pictures of the world. That brings out the artist in a lot of stuff. And yeah, maybe you like taking pictures and you hate the term that you're an artist, and you want to say, I'm not an artist, I just like taking pictures. That's fine too. If you want to pretend that you're not a hippie, pretend you're not a hippie. But get out there, take some photos. That's also kind of a free thing, or an added benefit to something you already have. But the point that I'm trying to make, have hobbies. Hobbies survive, hobbies help you go, hobbies help you grow. They, are completely beneficial all around on that kind of stuff. I'm very pumped that I picked up a new motorcycle and got in that hobby. The reason why I like motorcycling as a hobby is, is it dangerous? Yes and no. But part of that danger, I think, is you have to be so aware. So when I'm riding around, you have more of a view than being in a car. You don't have the side panels of the car that are blocking your view. It's just the world. It's you in the world traveling. So you see more things than you would have in the car. So the whole world has a different view and aspect of you, and you have to stay vigilant. So the focus that you make while you're out and about, kind of distracts the world to you. It's not that your problems are gone. I'm not saying that. It's just at the moment on the bike, you're focused on the world. And that's nice. It's nice to get out of your head and into the beauty or the bizarreness that you see. Like today. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out there, try to film the ride, maybe talk about hobbies because I was thinking about it. I get outside and the world's completely different than it was yesterday. It's just this haze. It's probably a fire. And sometimes all this stuff in the world can just change on you. Just like that. Poof. The world has changed. There's a haze. The trees look different. The skies look different. Is it bad? Not necessarily. It's just different. I don't know if you guys can see that, but oops. Try to flip around here. When I dip, you dip. Where you going, senior? Man, traffic could be horrible right here. Clearly this traffic doesn't care about the wave to this guy. Thank you. This is one of my favorite little paths. This city is amazing, and it's got so many different demographics and areas, and this road here is just so bizarre. It's in the middle of the city. Parts of it seem like it's kind of a small town or rural, like a farmland. I guess it looks like a farmland if you guys are watching, because you might have seen horses and other animals or goats on the side of the road. And it's just lush. There's trees. You get to experience every season out here. But then you just go a few minutes one way or the other and you're smack dab like in the middle of a residential neighborhood or industrial area. But I think that's also one thing about motorcycles is you get to explore the world. Sometimes you just go out and drive. I've always been a fan of just getting out on the drive, and so you get to see all this stuff. You learn the new little nooks and crannies of your city. On your left. Which is a nice thing too. So you get to see the world in a different set of eyes, and you get to see your city, where you live. You get to learn more about it. Get out there. See the people. See the areas. The one good or bad thing about a motorcycle, maybe it's just this 20-year-old motorcycle, but there's no watch. And I forgot my watch. I don't have it on. There's no clock on the bike. I know some bikes do. But if you have anywhere to go or any specific time, you gotta buy your own watch, your own clock. At least for the most part, we have that now. Look at these guys racing. Look at them racing. Dead snake. Don't tread on me. But it's got treads all over that snake. It's always in that song. If you guys have never seen Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, remember as a kid watching that movie. I loved it. That's one of the movies that made me always want a motorcycle. It's like, oh, this is so cool. Those guys are just on motorcycles, just driving around, doing whatever. And the one thing about that movie is it never tells you about his weather. I think every time they're on their bikes, the weather is amazing. That's not so true all the time. Sometimes you're out and about and it rains. That's the one thing I don't think anyone ever told me about was the rain. It hurts. If you don't have a jacket on and you're just like in a t-shirt and it starts raining, it feels like you're getting pelted by BBs or something. It's just a bizarre feeling. But hey, it's you in the world. But as you can see, we're just going, no care in the world. Slow pace, just cruising. These people apparently have nowhere to be today. Or where they have to be. Obviously, time is not important. When they get there, they will get there. You know, one of the things I realized from cycling or motorcycling is cars get very mad at motorcycles and cyclists. And I think it's any time that they come around and do anything that makes them look like they're above the law, or that they can just break the law whenever they want. One of that, I think, is lane splitting or taking up too much of the road if you're a cyclist. So one of the things I can't stress enough, if it's illegal, like lane splitting here, don't do it. Not only is it so unsafe, but it just enrages people. And then you get people doing stupid things because of road rage. It's not the motorcyclist's fault, but it's just not worth it. People hold grudges, and unfortunately, us as a society or human beings, we hold a prejudice or bias towards that whole group of people because of the actions of a minority group. And not minority like skin tone, but minority like, if you're looking at motorcyclists, just the ones that do the lane splitting or drive kind of wild and scare people. And I think that's the difference in cars, and why rage is so important is something happens and someone has that just immediate like reaction and fear. Like they're like, oh God, we're gonna die, or this person's gonna die. And that fear becomes anger because we don't like to be scared, and it's a survival thing. Bam! It happens. Oh God, we're gonna die. And then they get to, why would they do that? Why would this person? You get that anger right away. And it's just human. Sometimes we can't control our own anger on that. You know, it takes a lot of patience and practice and to control your anger in those kind of situations. One really unique thing about this road here, some of these houses are $1 million properties, multi-million dollars. And then you go to other parts of this road and it's like run down shacks that must have been probably in people's families for decades, or you know, years, or maybe even the first time that they got settled. And it's just interesting. Farm shop open, someone there checking your temperature. It's a COVID world. Man, this is one cautious driver in front of us. I mean, they're just cruising. There's a helicopter out. Ghetto bird, getting people. Man, I hope it's not out because someone lit the dang city on fire. All these protests everywhere, lighting everybody's stuff on fire. I shouldn't say a protest, all these rioting. I'm all for protesting. Get out there, have your voice heard, make a difference, get involved. I think people feel like they're hopeless and they can't get involved, but you got to. You can't just stand out there though with a sign. You got to actually get involved. But don't burn down stuff. That just, you lose your opinion then. People won't listen to you. They just think you're a criminal. Well, I guess you are a criminal if you're just lighting things on fire and breaking it. Man, this Chevrolet. How slow can you go? I could go real slow. I can go so slow that you won't know I'm going so slow in my Chevrolet. How slow can you go? How slow can you go? I can go slow in my Chevrolet. How slow can you go? Thank you. That was How Slow Can You Go in your Chevrolet. It's a new hit single out. That house right there for sale, bet it's $1 million. And it's right next to Modular Home. Such a unique thing about this city and this road. Over there, over there, over there. Yeah, get it. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. How slow can you go in your Chevrolet? He's got his whole world on his cart right there. Here we go. Get it. Get it. Man, that was a bad turn. Don't hit me, look for me.